Yep. It's Tuesday. It's 10 o'clock. The mics are on. The gentlemen are in the building. It is time once again for the House of Common show. Turn it up, Calvin. Let's go.
Yeah, what's up?
Wow,
DJ time.
DJ Calvin.
DJ Calvin's in the
Oh
building.
my
DJ
goodness.
Lightskin. DJ Lightskin Lion in the building.
Hey, Lion.
That's what
DJ
we're on
Lightskin
tonight.
Lion is in the building. We are out here right now.
What is happening?
Someone get shot?
Take
Is
all
this
of
is
it.
what overflow is like? Is this what you
Take
guys
all
have
of it.
all these
Take
years?
all of it. Did you say this is what overflow is like?
That's what
Listen,
my
man, we have friends.
question
We have friends in those places.
Okay, Calvin, the show started.
Yo,
The show is we're good now.
We're good.
We got it.
We're good. Yo, you're having too much fun over there, Cal.
quote-
This guy's
To
playing
quote-
like he's at government right now.
Yeah.
Yo, I think my son just took the horn over.
To quote Aubrey Drake Graham, there ain't very much I hear that's popping off without us. We are the House of Common. It is the House of Common show, the flagship show of the House of Common network. I am here. The gentlemen are here. Gentlemen, say what's up to the people.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
what's up?
And we have an exciting show for you. I need to say this before we get started, guys. I don't have the jersey here, but can we give a shout
The
out?
medium.
Are we doing this?
Can we
right
give
now
a
for real?
shout out
Next.
to the Montreal
Let's keep it
Canadiens,
moving.
Next.
the
Again?
Kings
Same
of the
dude,
North?
slept with
Can
it.
we do that, gentlemen? Can we?
Oh,
Round of applause. A round of applause for the Kings of the North. The
I'm
Montreal
Canadian,
Canadiens.
I'm polite.
I'll give them two
Jimmer
claps.
Souvier.
Two
I
claps.
want to give shout outs. Hey, guys,
Respect them.
listen. For all of you who are watching, I apologize that your team was not as good as my team. And that your team is golfing while my team is going to semifinals and Stanley Cup Finals. But that's just me. That's just me. Don't mind me at all.
Mr. Schmedium. Mr. Chris Schmedium.
Bobby Schmurda, Bobby Schmedium. Anyhow, gentlemen, it has been a crazy 7 days since we last hung out. So the question I have for you, the rundown, I'm just bringing it to you guys. Guys, what are some things that took off or happened during the course of this week that you want to talk about? What's something that's important to you? Something that you're like, we need to talk about this. Gentlemen, I throw it to you.
Get trip on the weekend. We can go get crazy storefront shopping. I can't wait. It's been like 2 summers since I've been able. And
Yo, Cal, are we hitting up Duteel?
yo, I've already been to Duteel though. Like I'm ready to go. Like, yeah, we're gonna go off. I'm ready for it. We all got to get white Adidas Stan Smiths.
I don't.
Got to be the. It's got to be the shoe.
White
that
it
have
is.
the-
Nah.
I got white
You know
Reeboks.
what's crazy? Speaking of that,
Oh,
I
white
learned
leathers.
this week that
We gotta get
Jason-
white leathers.
Do you guys know that Jason does not wear right running shoes?
No, I didn't notice.
No.
Yo,
Jason
I haven't
doesn't
had
wear
a
right running
pair of white
shoes.
shoes.
He just
20
wears
years.
Tim's. What, lugs?
Jason at your
Nah,
Yeah,
I don't
he
wear
wears
white
lugs.
shoes.
He
Jason
wears
wears black
lugs.
Air Forces.
I don't wear white shoes.
The man said the
Unless I
closest
start
to white
laying out
people
like Benny Hinn,
is
I'm not
gray.
wearing white shoes.
I don't even
Nah,
know.
yo,
That's crazy.
we're gonna link up.
Cabana. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, for the banner.
Okay. Take him out there. There you go. I want to see the selfies. I want to see the selfies of Tim and Jason at the pool bar. That's
I
that
know.
sounds legendary. What else, boys? Rundown. We were already talking about,
got one.
we're opening up. Ontario opens up on Friday instead of Monday, which is great to say, hey, listen, those of you who don't care about COVID, we get to start on Saturday and Sunday together as opposed to Monday together. That's not going to change the numbers at all. Fantastic. What else is going on? What else is going on, boys, that you want to be talking about? Rundown stuff.
A lot of people paid a lot of money to watch Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather hug for 8 rounds.
Yep. And you know what? You get what you pay for.
I didn't pay I did not pay. I watched on Twitter. Twitter was more fun than all of you guys had.
No need to throw shade at us. Jeez.
Oh.
Tim sent us a wild link though. Like it was,
Why you
it was
gonna
just
put him on
pure.
blast like that, fam?
Yo, my router has pop-up
Don't blame
blockers,
it
so
on-
it's
don't
like I
blame
don't
it-
I
don't
don't
blame it
know
on the-
whatever it
Don't
is.
blame it on the router. fam.
Set up. It's just pure Asian girls.
I can't even. I can't believe that you guys all watched the fight.
What?
I mean, it was entertaining. It was an entertaining
As
fight.
Christians, as
What?
black men, what
No,
what
just because
offended
I
you,
thought it was
Andrew?
gonna be garbage, like Mayweather versus Paul. Like,
Oh no,
I-
it was
I don't
garbage.
know. I thought it was just gonna be
Oh, it was
garbage.
gar- it was a
I'm
garbage
not
fight.
wasting my life to watch this.
And Chad Johnson got knocked out.
Chad.
Did he?
Chad. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Who was he
did.
fighting?
I forget.
A guy that was a bare knuckle brawler before.
Guy that knocked him out.
you could see the sweat go flying across the ring. It was awesome.
Man looked like Nate Robinson, bro. It was crazy.
Oh,
Yo, do you guys think Nate Robinson will ever fight again?
Do you
fight?
think he'll ever like? anyhow,
Will he
yeah.
walk?
I was about to say. I wanted to say it, but I didn't want to say it.
Yo, tell that guy
Yeah,
to raise
Nate
his
Robinson,
hands,
he definitely set us back some years.
Wow.
Boy, we are on it tonight, boy.
All right. So
Uh,
you guys saw the rumor, right? You guys saw the rumor that that Floyd possibly knocked out Logan Paul and held him up. Do you guys? And then Logan Paul came out on TikTok and Instagram today, say that he wasn't knocked out. What do you guys think? Do you think that Floyd knocked him out, or do you think that
100.
that he didn't? What are your thoughts?
No. I think it was buzz. Like he lost his legs. I don't know if knockout is like you're unconscious
Okay.
for I think more than like a second.
But
But
he was
he stung him. He stung him like for legit. He got a for real
Yeah,
punch from a real
I-
boxer.
I don't think he got
But-
knocked out. I think if Floyd didn't hold him up, he probably would have been down for like a 6 count.
I don't know because
No,
he's
no,
a bigger
but-
guy and he's not used to falling. And I feel like the way that he would have hit the ground, he would have been done. That's my thoughts on that.
Also, like if you watch any of these matches, the moment you hit the mat, they're not counting to see if you're responding. They will call the fight. And so Floyd's like, yo, it's like, I just want to be here and put on a
Floyd-
show. I want to
Floyd
play
got
with
his
this
10
guy
million.
that thinks he can step into the ring with me.
Yeah, Floyd got his 10 million. I don't think like
And was it a
10
50,
million,
bro?
50 million, dog.
100.
No.
Yeah, he got a lot of crazy
Yeah,
things.
Logan Paul wins this whole thing, yo. He made more money in one fight than his whole net worth. His net worth is 8 mil. He made 10 mil in a night.
Logan made
He had no business being there. Floyd let him come into the ring to make this show. Yo, Logan had no business being in there, so he wins.
That's
The
true.
moment he signed the paperwork, yo, I won. I don't deserve to be here. How many more fighters were more qualified for an exhibition like this? But because of the audience that Logan has, that's how this all happened.
Right.
It's because of the eyeballs and the money at stake.
that's-
But
I
he
think
had
that's
no
it.
business being in that ring, yo, at
No,
all.
None of these guys, the Paul brothers, aren't good for the sport of boxing. But
Are
yeah,
they,
but they
though?
are. But they are.
Our eyes are better than
Yes
nothing,
and
right?
no.
Our eyes bring money.
they
So like
are,
whether or
right.
not like if we're talking about the pure science, the pure
Yeah,
science
yeah,
of
that's
boxing,
what
then
I'm
maybe
talking about.
not. But if we're talking about money,
but
Guys, I
but the
have a
money
confession.
Isn't really helping boxers.
I have a
No, right.
confession.
what's your confession?
I'm a bit of a Paul brother fan.
Oh, we knew this already.
we knew this from time.
Right.
It's
Time.
like
Because
That's why
they
he's talking bro
You're
energy.
confessing something that you already confessed to, but what can be healed, friend?
they legit. So what's his
Come on.
name? I'm a fan.
Yes,
They
Lord.
said they said that they're going to be the best entertainers, siblings, whatever, in like the next 10 years, and they're doing it. And there is literally footage of Logan Paul in 2016 when he was like 19 years old saying, "Yo, I want to collab with Floyd Mayweather or Conor McGregor or blah blah blah." All the way in 2016 when he never met them or knew them personally, and now he fought with them for one of the biggest pay-per-view shows. Talk about manifesting, your own destiny, all that kind of stuff. Like people, you gotta give honor where honor is due. Okay, they're doing something that otherwise nobody else could. No other YouTuber, name another person who could do this flight.
I don't know that many YouTubers.
I don't know that many YouTubers either.
I don't
Okay,
care. I don't
Name another
I don't
person.
care.
Name another person who could bring the eyeballs the way that this fight did.
LeBron
I don't care if it's a
Tyson.
YouTuber or not.
LeBron James.
No, I'm serious. I think if LeBron James, if he decided to step into a boxing ring, I think he would bring.
You're mad. You're
Kevin,
mad.
Kevin Samuels.
Right.
Kevin Samuels.
Dr. Umar.
Dr. Umar Johnson.
Kevin
Better
Hart.
for
I'm
humanity.
just gonna stay quiet.
Let me say this though, Bart. It's like when we look at it, just because you have a jester in the court of someone that of a duke somewhere, and he's like, you know what? One day, I'm going to be a jester in the court of the king. He's still a joker. He's still a fool. He isn't running the king's court.
I'm not saying that he's a genius. And okay, Kevin Samuels needs to leave the chat, eh? I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Yo, Benson, I'm sorry that I let you down, but I like what I'm seeing with the Paul brothers in the sense that they're making it interesting. And apparently it was very spur of the moment, but also genius marketing. Jake Paul taking his hat and then immediately uploading a picture of him getting the tattoo saying got your hat and got it trademarked, and immediately selling hats and t-shirts. From a marketing standpoint, I like all of it. All that I'm seeing, I'm just like, yes,
But
I want more.
I agree with homie said in the YouTube comments. It's not really good for boxing. I don't think it helps anything. It doesn't.
Not for real boxing.
No,
It helps
boxing's dope.
WWE type stuff.
That's true.
And, and here's the thing: we didn't pay for it, but we watched it and we're talking about it. And no one talks about boxing anymore because people talk about MMA, UFC. They talk about WWE. They don't talk about boxing anymore. We're talking about boxing on a show that has nothing to do with boxing. It
Not
works for
for real.
boxing.
Shut up, O'Shea. Shut up, O'Shea.
We talked
So
about
I mean,
WWE.
maybe is it good for the pound for pound fighters and whatever else it is, depending on the weight class? No, it's not. But is it good for the eyes and for television
Yeah.
and
For
remind people of
pay-per-view?
I
boxing?
heard you.
Pay per view. That like
If we're
that
talking about
helps.
pay-per-view, this is great for boxing.
Great for boxing, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anything else going on in the world before we walk into our main topic for the night, or at least one of our main topics for the night?
Well-
Anything else? This happened this week.
I just found out earlier today. I dropped it in the chat, and this one is for Niels in the chat. Chris, whatever his name is, he has stepped away from The Bachelor after 19
Chris Harrison.
seasons. Yeah,
No, we said we're
Yeah.
never talking about the Bachelor again.
We're never.
We're
You
never
said you
talking
were
about
never
it
talking-
again.
guys, you can't listen. Like Tim,
This is something on Tim's heart.
yeah, like
Never.
Oh, Tim's hurt. Let us
Ever.
know how you feel, Tim. Let us know.
Ever.
I got Logan Paul. You got
Not
Chris
the rest
Hansen
of
or
ours.
whatever.
Not the rest
All
of
right.
ours, but his heart. For some reason, it is.
no. Tim is our resident Bachelor correspondent.
correspondent.
He's our senior Bachelor correspondent, so he has to kind of bring this news up. And I'm going to say this: because of our hard work as journalists, we canceled that guy from The Bachelor. There you go. We did it, guys. We did it.
Well, I didn't
Eliminated.
want him canceled.
I'm just kidding. We didn't do
Oh.
anything. We didn't do anything. There you go. Anybody? Anything else? Anything else happening this week?
Stefan, you were gonna say something, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe turn a little serious, but this past week last week on our show we talked about the 215 bodies in Kamloops at the residential school, and then this week the Pope didn't feel like apologizing, and I'm wondering what you guys thought about that.
Kind of
Jason?
what I would expect. It's too messy for him to come out and publicly say something. And I know we have a more progressive Pope, but I don't think he's that progressive where he's going to come out and admit fault, or at least, try to speak about it in a public fashion. I don't know if this Pope is that out there, so PR move, is it bad? I don't know if it's bad. I think it's exactly what I would expect the Vatican and the people over there do. But I know Jason is in the wing. He's ready. Jason, jump in, broski.
Wow, you know what? To me, it's like one of those things. Have you ever had something bad happen to you, and it's so bad that you don't want to tell anybody, even though everybody knows what happened? And that's kind of what happened. I mean, I don't. I mean, he knows, and just like we've all said, okay. So unfortunately, it's just the 215 kids, but we're all speculating that from the other schools that it's probably a lot more. So, I mean, as we would say, he doesn't want that smoke right now. He just does not want to get involved with that. He does not want to even jump in and even to comment. Maybe he'll comment after he gets all the facts, or maybe when, unfortunately, more evidence or more information, or, praying that's not the case, more bodies come. But I mean, it's a shame. He should, in his role as leadership, he should apologize for this, sorry to say, but for the sins and the mistakes of the past of the church's actions. He should do that. But has he done it? No, he hasn't done it yet. And even when the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, said, hey, I'm waiting for the Pope to respond, and for him not to respond, that looks really bad.
Word. This is where, like, I don't know. I'm a little conflicted because, like, I look back to everything that happened, like, last year, and even in conversations, and I'm gonna use this just for the sake of it, having conversations with white people and having them apologize to me about certain things that I went through. I don't want you to apologize to me. That you're not the problem here. You know what I mean? Like, you yourself didn't do that. Yeah, your organization did. So, like, as much as an apology would have been great and fantastic, I don't think it leans towards a bad thing, because, like, this man who is now the Pope now is not the reason for what happened years and years and years ago. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little weird. What I think we miss a lot of is that we tried to hide it so much, especially in Canada. Like, we knew these things were happening, and the reality is we knew it was happening, but it took a burial site basically for us to go, oh my gosh, like, we should actually say something about it. We should actually do something about it. And now we want to kind of go up in arms, and it kind of just goes back to that whole idea of, like, yo, when something goes down, then that's when we want to speak up, opposed to, like, yo, this is stuff that we knew was happening. So it's just weird. I find myself conflicted. Would an apology be nice? Sure. But, like, is he owed an apology? Nah, I don't think he owes. He's not the one who did it. It would literally just be an apology just for an apology. And I don't know how much that does.
But the follow-up to that, sorry, O'Shea, turn up your mic. Your damn mic. The follow-up to that, I would say, is, shouldn't he be the primary agent to have court for these conversations? I think acknowledgement is so key. We spoke about a lot of this last year with Black Lives Matters and a lot of the other topics that we were talking about last year. But the first thing, more than an apology, is to acknowledge their existence, to acknowledge their missed opportunities and those missed lives and those families who had no closure and all those other things. And I think the Pope kind of maybe, or the Vatican, I know it's not just one person. I know he's the figurehead, but I know it's a whole council of things that come together. I just think in a perfect world, I know this would never happen, like I said in my previous statement, but in a perfect world, I think it would be great for the Pope to be like, this is a horrible tragedy, and these lives all matter to God that were found in this mass grave. And this isn't, an acknowledgement just for acknowledgement's sake, but this is something that we're working on, and we're going to try to have more conversations to see what we can do in the country of Canada with residential schools. Something a little bit like that, I think, will go a long way, but that's just not how the Vatican works. It's politics on top of politics, on top of a sovereign state, on top of foolishness, and people in white robes.
So let me say this. There are 12.8 million Catholics in Canada, which it's a lot of people. Those are people that identify as Catholic, not necessarily that they all go to mass. Worldwide, there are 1.2 billion Catholics. Now, as Bart had made reference to, the Vatican itself is a collective of other cardinals that come together. And though the Pope will do what the Pope will do, because he is the vicar of Christ on this earth, sometimes the Pope can only take so much heat before he doesn't want mans to try and come and kill him. Then also in the world of the Vatican, in the world of the Catholic Church, Canada itself is actually not an emerging market. Canada itself is a market in decline. And so it is easier for the Pope to say at a distance. It's like what I am hearing, I am saddened by. But he himself does not have to be one that actually makes that apology from a distance itself. What may end up happening is the Pope may plan a visit to Canada, and then in that moment he may say he's sorry because he has shown himself to be someone that makes an apology when he's on location. He very rarely is someone that makes an apology at a distance itself. But
Yeah, and just to go on, continue with what Tim said, CTV had one of the cardinals, a Canadian cardinal that's at the Vatican right now, and he said that the Pope will be coming out with a comment. He will be coming out with an apology. He just hasn't right now because he doesn't want it to be just seen as something that's being said. He wants to think about it and be sincere. I don't know if that's. I'm just saying what they're saying on the news. So,
sorry, Andrew. Sorry, he doesn't want to make it seem like it's just something to be said.
Hey, you can watch the news from last night. Watch CTV News. You can watch it from last night.
Oh, but you brought it up, Andrew, so you're now responsible.
What I'm saying is what he's. Yeah, I'm not responsible.
This is on you.
What the Vatican wants to say.
So that's
I
so
got
dirty.
the first links
on behalf of the news,
of the Vatican. On the behalf of the Vatican. I'm just wanting to let you know.
We're now listening to Andrew Jones, our Vatican correspondent.
Vatican correspondent. Your Vatican correspondent.
But I guess it remains to be seen. But the same way, the government hasn't really apologized either. They haven't really done anything, and they have a big part to play in this too. So if
because
we're
they did during Stephen Harper.
Harper?
He added that Quebec accent, bro. Allow him.
What is happening right now? So if we're gonna start throwing out and telling everybody, they need to start as well. So that's all I need to say.
You know what I think? This is gonna sound terrible.
Probably is.
In about I don't know, 2, 3, 4 months, I think everybody's gonna forget about this because they have forgotten about it before.
They're not going to stop.
Yes, of course they will. Come on, guys. We have known about residential schools from time.
Yep, they will move on. Yep.
People have been saying that there are bodies there. But we had a whole Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We heard about these things, and people talked about it for a bit. We got mad. People got mad, and then they moved
Land
on.
acknowledgement ceremonies.
Let's be realistic. I think that people are just upset because, the Israel-Palestine thing is done, sort of, in a way, and this is the newest thing to be outraged
Did
about.
you legitimately say Israel-Palestine thing is done? Okay.
I mean,
you're on your own. You're on your own.
Yeah,
you're on your own, dog.
It's like the oldest war forever.
ISO.
He's on that island with Wilson.
Read your Bible. Read your Bible.
Oh no!
No, dude, let's not get into the whole thing about whether it's in the Bible. Now. We're not doing that.
Bart, don't be that person.
We are
don't be
moving
that
on.
person.
We're not going there.
We are moving on. We're gonna go right into the chat. We're gonna go right into the chat here.
Go to the chat.
Before we start going on to the we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Carousel Tattoo and Barbershop. The Pope has all the facts. The Vatican still has all the records, and they refuse to release it. The Pope is the definition of wolf in sheep's clothing. Niels, message redacted. Production management.
Yo, why? Why?
Niels, I love you. Niels, I love you. O'Shea sounds like he's on a BlackBerry. There you go.
Talking on a potato.
Thank you.
Kamoy, I think he has a real, I think he has a responsibility to apologize on behalf of the Catholic Church, but that would lead to apologies for several other things as well. And it really is one of those things of the string on the sweater. If you start pulling it a little bit, the entire thing falls apart. That's very true. But as well, there are documents, secrets, etc., hidden in the Catholic Church. Nelly says this, but as the main ambassador of the Catholic Church, his missing voice on this issue is problematic. At least acknowledgement or not of not apology. Zach Baker, I'm guessing this prime minister telling the church to apologize, and I think he should. Better be backed up with some good, real action coming from the federal government too. And go down here. Hannah says this to Stefan's comment. Facts, Stefan. So I think there within the chat, there's a couple of things that people have kind of thought themselves, yeah, like we're not going to stick. Like, I mean, remember how woke everybody was literally this time last year, right? And now people are putting more fight into fighting anti-racism than they are fighting racism.
I think there's a lot of virtue signaling happening, and not a lot of people who actually signal the virtues that they're actually virtue signaling. It's kind of a weird.
Can you explain that concept of virtue signaling for us? For me.
Like,
just showing that you're the type of person that cares about these things, pretty much.
You said virtue signaling, and all I could think of was that movie Warriors of Virtue. Remember that one with kangaroos? Yeah,
yes, I do.
That's all I could.
And I think this is a good comment here. Brandon says these issues are talked about when they're hot topics.
Facts. Only then.
And do we agree with that? Like, I mean, Stefan, that's a pretty hot take. I mean, outside of the whole Israel-Palestine thing, like that's a pretty hot take to make. And there was a little bit of pushback on it. Calvin, you had a face that you were kind of like, you thought that you don't think people were going to forget this. Why do you think that they're not going to forget this as opposed to forgetting everything else that's happened in the last 14, 15 months that we've been alive?
It's here. I don't think people will move as quickly away from the thought like, oh, that's in America. Because there were a lot of apologists, even us in a certain degree, we're like, we're not a monolith. In our experience here in Canada, it looks like one thing. It's similar, but not the same. The stuff that's going on overseas, it's overseas, but this is at home. And I just think that with the year as it was, with all that has happened, this one's going to stick around. That's just my thought.
But it's been around for it's been around for time. Like
but there's like a whole like slavery in America was around from time, and it was a year ago that people. Oh, really? Right? Like there were conversations we had. I don't even remember learning about residential schools in high school. I never learned about it. This was 100%
elementary school.
No, you wouldn't have learned about it.
I learned about the Hudson's Bay trading. I learned about all kinds of lots of stuff. But I don't remember actually sitting down and looking at the ills, the evils of the residential school.
Why would they teach that? The people who win the people who win battles get to write the history books. You know what I mean?
They actually take a lot of that out.
You're proving my point. So now everybody is like, "Oh, what I learned isn't 100% true. It's a farce."
But
it's satire.
But Calvin, 2015 wasn't that long ago. We had a whole flipping study about this be published.
Yeah,
but so what you're telling me, people didn't read? So the problem is, it's not that people don't learn about it.
You're erasing the last year. You're erasing the whole last year of awareness and how immediate information is and how available information is. I don't remember 2015 and all this stuff.
And it wasn't even that it was available. It was that people were not busy enough, and so it was available for them to see and just watch and read and listen. Right. Like COVID put a halt to life. Right. And so if people were busy out in the workforce, these issues would still be down low. But because we've been stopped, we've been halted, everybody is now aware of all of these
I
things.
think
Let
by
me tell
that
you.
same judgment, then I think now you start to think about we're getting to our present version of normal, things opening up, summertime. I don't think this is going to be a conversation in July or in August.
I don't know, man.
Guys, let me tell you, I think people are going to be talking about this for a long time. And the reason why, okay, this is 21, 250 kids. I mean, this isn't a war zone. This isn't, this is real time. 215 kids found this information. People in the States are talking. They're like, what's going on in Canada? People don't tell me like, hey, like, what's going on? I was like, well, some colonial things or whatever. But to make a long story short, I think this is going to be something people are going to be talking about to me, this is like, wow, okay, this is the same thing that's happened in so many other places where Canada has tried to say, okay, we're a good country. We treat everybody the same. We treat everybody with honor, respect, and we respect everybody's religions and point of views and backgrounds. But obviously that's not the case.
And I get that, but at the same token, how much
we don't believe in tokens here.
Okay.
How? That's big token energy.
How much do you, in America? How much do you talk about 9/11?
They actually talk about it a lot. It's
do they talk about it a lot? I don't know. I'm asking the question.
It's still a big thing there. Every year.
Every year, once a year. But once that
more than once
anniversary comes up and it goes, are you guys still reflecting on it? Are you still
talk about it? Even the last time I was in the States, they were talking about it.
It's big
in the thing that I was at. But here, I want to speak to what Steph said. I actually agree to a point to what he's saying, and I might say something that might rub people a little, rub them a little the wrong way. But the reason why I agree with Steph is from the standpoint of the difference between the Black Lives Matter and then this situation is, with the Black Lives Matter, all the people that decided that they didn't want to talk about this or believe in this, they were rubbing shoulders with Black people. So because of that, they're like, oh snap, people that I know, they've gone through the things that they're saying that they went through. The difference with this situation is they're that group of individuals that's affected by this, they don't actually rub shoulders with the regular pop. We put them on these reserves up in the middle of nowhere. And so, yeah, we reflect on it now because we're hearing about it now and it's in the news now. But I do believe that over a certain amount of time, because we're not going to be seeing them, because they're still put almost isolated from society, we're not going to care as much as we care now because we actually do life with the people that this has been affected, this has affected.
Whoa. Adam's been wanting in, and O'Shea's been wanting in. I know that we're heated, but let me moderate this a little bit.
Yeah, I think when you look at it,
GTA, indigenous people are all around.
Yeah, but here's
not as much as like Black people.
Dope.
But no. We got an order. We got an order,
guys. We got an order. We've got an order.
Yo, this is a topic everybody wants. Yeah,
I need to get in line.
Is this our first time doing this show?
I need to get in line. O'Shea.
I'm also a little worried. This is not even a joke. I'm also a little worried that Calvin's a little lagged, so he can't tell that we're actually like moving. I'm really worried about that.
We're like 20 minutes ahead of you, Calvin.
Calvin's actually in Calgary right now. Calvin's in Calgary right now. Adam, you're up.
Was it me or O'Shea? O'Shea's next.
It's me.
Yeah, go ahead, O'Shea.
But when I think it's gonna be something that is along for a long time, and not a great example, like nothing like this that happens is great, but an example of it being around is when you look at a country like Cambodia. Most of you guys won't even know about Khmer Rouge and how they slaughtered their own
fields.
Yeah, killing fields.
Yeah, the killing fields.
That's something that is still very alive if you go there. Like, they are still digging up remains of those killing fields. There are people that are living there now that have a family member who's been affected by this. So it's something that is still very close to home and very accessible to people living there. And I think the same thing is with a lot of the indigenous groups that live in Canada. A lot of them still have a very close relative that has gone through these experiences that they have lost, or that they grow up and find out that they had a brother and lost. Like there's tons of stories about this. So this it's not something where we're going to look at and go, oh, in a year from now it's not going to be a thing, because there's still people living in the country that we all live in that this directly impacts, that they know a family member, that they know a cousin, that they know someone where this has affected them. And now that it's kind of being surfaced and kind of shown to that light, I feel like there's going to be a huge push, because this is something that like we knew about it, but there's a bigger push now in that direction. Adam, alley-oop.
Yeah, I think there's three reasons why I disagree with Jason and Calvin's point of, and your point actually, of why this is going to be around for a long time. The first one is because I think we overestimate our capacity for bad news, and I think that we're suffering from like trauma fatigue in terms of it's just story after story of things that are going on. That are happening, and it wears at you. It really does wear at you. And that's not to minimize the situation or anything like that. The second one is I think we underestimate our attention span. Again, to that point of there's going to be something else that comes along that's going to capture the attention of the mass media. It's going to capture the attention of, podcast shows, different things around whatever we consume, social media and stuff, campaigns. That's going to garner the attention that's going to become the focus, and because of that, this is going to fade into the background. And then the last part about it, which I think is actually the worst part, is that Jason, you said there's 250 kids, 15 kids, but the reality is that they're not our kids, and I think that's why. That's why we're not gonna, this is gonna pass us by.
Big facts.
We look at Black Lives Matter, and we think that this is gonna be around forever because it's our people. You look at you guys talked about 9/11, and we're saying that, through Americans. Well, yeah, it's because it's their people, but there's heinous acts that are committed to people around the world, genocides, around the world that happen, that capture our attention for a minute. And because it's not our people, and because it doesn't hit close to home, and because we put this group of people, we relegate them to barren lands and to places that are destitute, and we don't care about them. This is capturing our attention for now, but I give it till the fall. I give it till the fall, and it's not to say that that's right. I'm not saying that this is right, but I just think that like
I don't agree.
Yeah.
Apparently Calvin doesn't agree, but
That's
I think Adam, I think you hit the nail right on the head. Guys, the Olympics are coming up, right? And
maybe.
Right. But my point is there's going to be something that comes out of that's going to take the attention. I think people just enjoy is not the right word, but people like to be a part of something. But it's not going to cost them anything if they're, you go to a rally for a day, right? Like, it's not going to cost you anything. The people who care about this stuff are the people that cared about indigenous rights and making sure that reserves have clean water. The people that care about that stuff were the people that cared about this stuff 5 years ago and 10 years ago, who've been working and been going up there and have been trying to help people and have been trying to get people better water. The people that I see that are out in the streets, tearing down statues and things like that, they're just there because, mob mentality, right? A crowd attracts a crowd. But realistically, are they going to go help out with people who are bringing clean water up to the reserves up north? Probably not. But will they be there the next time there's a huge rally downtown for something that happens? Probably so. And that unfortunately is a part of our society that we live in. We love that, you know, hey, I'm going to put up a black square and this is going to do the thing and I've done the thing and now I feel better about myself and let's move on. But we have to, before we move on, we have to get rid of this person because they did a bad thing 100 years ago. And so because I want to feel better, I'm going to join in this march. And then once we do this, we're good. Let's on to the next one. What else can we conquer today? And that attitude just doesn't help anything. And I don't think, it's kind of sad to say this, but 2, 3, 4 months from now, there's going to be something else. And it sadly is what it is.
I don't know if it's even going to take that long, but yeah, unfortunately.
So let me
July.
let
Okay,
me say
let's
this
not
then.
let's not put months on this, guys. Let's not like
yeah,
be like
please.
this is not pro. This is
Damn,
not pro
y'all
live.
taking bets, huh? That's
What is
crazy.
happening
Not
right
pro
now?
live.
I'm not saying I'm
No,
taking
we don't-
bets.
we
I'm
don't
just
take
saying when
bets
we're
on
in
this
the
show
what I'm
anymore.
trying to say by
I
July. I'm
understand you.
just
I understand
saying
what you're saying. I know
by the
I know
middle
what
of
you're
the summer. By the middle of the summer,
Yeah.
those type of.
I'm just saying we're not pro line. We are the House of Common show, flagship show of the House of Common network. Tim Sills, you're next.
So
What?
so let me say this then.
Sounds.
Go Tim. Go Tim. Just continue. Just continue.
So let me say this. Instead of us sitting there and going, it's like, hey, I give this 2 months before this falls to the wayside. Why don't we take the opportunity to go out and to learn, to better immerse ourselves in that culture? We've heard so much over the last year of what it means to be an ally to us. So the reality is what can we do? And that is not just people that are Black. It's not just Black people everywhere, but it's what can we do to interest ourselves in the well-being of the people that came before us.
This is good.
And what ends up happening is I have a former coworker, and she posted on her IG story, and it's just a little a cartoon, and it goes, "What happens when Indigenous issues in Canada?" And it's this week, and you can't see it, but it's a house on a reserve. It looks like a shack, and there's a group of people out in front there with signs going, "Don't give up. Hope. We love you." And then it goes, "Next week, there's no one there." And the reality is for us, it's taking the opportunity to really learn and to be able to get to know people that are living that life itself, to learn what we can do. If it's something that we ourselves can't go to particular places, it's like, what can we do to be able to elevate your voices? It's also something on that end of even being able to better appreciate the music, the art that is being put out there. It's like I just think of, like, whenever I get the opportunity to go to Nuit Blanche, there's always at least one installation from someone that is of First Nation descent. When I think of music itself, I think of the Canadian artist group called A Tribe Called Red. And they themselves bring this like wonderful fusion of traditional First Nations music with like hip hop, R&B feel to it. And so the thing for us is to go, not how long we give this to stay in the media, but our challenge to ourselves should be, how long does it take for this to be a thing that is within the regular rotation of our thoughts and mind? Because I remember in elementary school, we did interact with residential schools in grade 7, but it was something that we spent a moment on, and then we moved on to the British North American Act and how Queen Victoria is the monarch that signed the whatever to allow us to become a country. And so I would say that's the challenge that we need to make for ourselves.
Back here in the chat, Nelly says this: the next generation is running with these things on the internet via short videos. They won't forget. They're holding adults accountable. Benton says this: I grew up minutes from a reserve and never once learned about residential schools. About the Truth and Reconciliation Commission papers, Kamoy writes this: how many people have actually read through the TRC, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission? Neil says this: it will be talked about for some time. This has gone to international criminal court for those involved to be charged with crimes against humanity. And then the flip side, carousel, tattoo, barbershop, the public can't sustain outrage. Those responsible need to be held accountable by our justice system so we never forget. Also, things like monuments, education, curriculum, keep the memory alive. People will talk about this annually now. It can't be ignored anymore, and people are already demanding that it be included in history curriculum. Production management. Canada is Milli Vanilli at times. We look good, but behind the scenes is a bunch of old, ugly men singing bad songs.
That's a
now,
really
I have
good
an issue
one.
with that
Right.
because the songs by Milli Vanilli were
They're
fire,
pretty
even
good.
though they weren't singing them themselves. How dare you insult the lip syncing duo, the Grammy Award winning that they had to give back afterwards duo of Milli Vanilli? Outside of that, I agree with what you're talking about. And then lastly, Matt Colburn says this: I think Black Lives Matter helped create a culture and understanding that won't forget. People are listening and learning. I think that's new. Being shown the evil of our own nation, people are listening. So, gentlemen, so there's a lot of various feelings here in the chat. Friend Kimberly says this. I'll add this in. Canadian Red Cross is hiring. There's work available, and none of it or offer to work in remote communities, often indigenous. So we could say a whole bunch of things about like what's going on, what not going on, but this kind of ties into what Tim was saying. Like it's a matter of us being able to like not just kind of remember it, but allow it to actually strike our consciousness. No different than how we want people to have a better understanding of the Afro-Canadian Black experience. So there's a couple of guys who want to jump in there. Go for it. Who wants in?
Yo, so I want to speak back to what Adam was saying, and like Carousel was saying, I think that awareness is very important in this time. No, we can't sustain outrage. No, we can't continue. Compassion fatigue is real. Trauma fatigue is real. I actually think that, and you're my brothers, and so you know when I say this, I mean this in love, but I think there's a significant amount of apathy that has been shared in this conversation that I'm not a big fan of. And I think there's a great underestimation of a generation that is old enough and is being educated to make an incredible difference. I think this idea that it has to be done today is nonsense. That it has to be done by July, foolish. That it has to be done by next summer, crazy. I think that we need to start working in a very practical way towards the reconciliation that we're talking about. When it came to Black Lives Matter, we could only empathize, us as men in Toronto of African descent, we could only empathize. And when the question was asked of us, what do we need to do to make it better? The best that we had to offer was our experience and the encouragement to listen and continue to educate. When you look at the other things that are happening in the world that we've been outraged about, listen, take time to educate yourself, and move towards a hopeful future. We know what we can practically do to make a better tomorrow, have a better future in the relationship that we have with the Indigenous people. There are practical things that we can do. All of us attend churches that go on mission trips all around the world. Practically, we could go and figure out this water situation. Practically, we can go and fix the hydro situation. Practically, we can fix the hydro situation. Again, like I said last time, it doesn't always have to be hinged into conversion. It doesn't have to be hinged to that. But there are very practical things that go beyond awareness that literally we can begin putting our money towards, planning a road trip, and the 10 of us could make a difference somewhere. I'm not saying that flippantly. I'm not saying that as a talking head. I just think that this idea of, oh, you know, we're just all going to be fine because we can go shopping next week and the Blue Jays are coming home. That's nonsense. And I hate that our show can come off just like the hum-ha of everybody else who's cynical. I think we just need to move on.
I'd love to
Whoa,
respond.
like there's like four voices, so we'll go Bart, Andrew, and then I can't remember who.
I'm not gonna take long, gentlemen. I know I can be long-winded. I think we're arguing two different things, Cal.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I don't think so.
The conversation was previously we were talking about the longevity of the conversation,
Right.
and the probability of it being mainstream, right? How long are we going to have big people talking about Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh? How long are we going to have some of these different chiefs and indigenous leaders?
Exactly.
How long are we going to have them talking about that in the news, in the media? Excuse me. And I think when you're talking about what actionable steps can we do right now to participate in the change, in the reconciliation that is required with indigenous people and the mainstream media, I think that's where there's maybe a disconnect.
But I think that it's not up to those people to be talking about it. Everybody wants everybody to talk about it. If there's enough people who are doing something about it, there's very practical change that is happening. Again, to very practical needs that we see, they're going to have to talk about it. I don't think this is going away.
And this is not going to go away. And I think we're talking about the media and how this will go quietly in the media.
No, I think but I'm not.
We weren't. Hold on.
I'm not letting you guys have an easy out.
No.
You guys said people are going to die. Nobody said CNN is going to be tired. He's going to be tired.
Stop and listen for a second, because number one, you're basing a judgment on the fact of what we said, not knowing that some of us have already been to those First Nations places and have actually done stuff in those First Nations.
No, I'm not judging you. I'm saying that
hold on. Stop.
You see, you're trying to dig into my bag.
No.
I didn't say that. I'm saying the statement that was made is that we're not going to be talking about it. We're not going to be doing anything.
What we never said we weren't.
That's what was said. We can go watch it back.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
That was what was said.
What was said.
When we're saying we weren't talking about us here. We're talking about as a society, we are not going to do anything.
As a society, but the awareness and
not including us, like the general population.
But I think that's what Calvin's literally saying.
Hold on, let Andrew finish. Let Andrew finish.
We get to mobilize general pop.
No. Okay, everyone stop. Andrew, the floor is yours. Please respond to what Calvin said. And then after that, if somebody wants to retort back to Andrew, then they can do so. But Andrew, the floor is yours, my friend.
Well, because he's kind of saying that we're not going to do anything. We're not going to take part in anything. And nobody's not saying that we're not going to take part in anything. I do have a problem when we do say, and you made a comment like this, when we said nothing's going to change in a year. We shouldn't expect anything to change in a few months or in a year or in 2 years, whatever. I kind of disagree with that, only for the simple sake of this fight has been going on for First Nations people for years. You even go back to 1969 when Trudeau tried to end the Indian Act, and that would have destroyed and taken the representation, the culture out of our country, of the First Nations people, because they wanted to assimilate everybody. So this fight has been going on for a long time. For us to say, whoa, we shouldn't expect something to change in a year, forget that. People have been fighting for a long time. You did.
I didn't say that. I said people. Yeah, I said people are expecting these things to happen just in a very general sense. I understand what you're saying, but also our fight isn't in politics anymore. There are people who are literally able to make a difference today. I'm glad that you participated in that. I'm glad you participated in that. What I'm saying is, let's not be a part of the conglomerate, this loud voice of people who are skeptical and cynical that this is just going to go away. I just don't think that it's a reasonable platform.
I understand what you're saying there. Where you're saying, let's not add fuel to the negative energy, the fire.
Cynicism isn't going to do anything.
I would only argue, not to cut you off, Andrew, because the floor was yours. Yeah. I don't think anybody, like, knowing the people on the show,
Eddie,
I don't think that anybody was saying, yo, move us out of the way so we can think about something else. I think what's happening is people are kind of seeing the trajectory of how things have gone in other areas and other key things that have happened in the world. And it said, realistically, more than likely, another thing will happen that will take people's attention off of that. Now, that's just a comment. That's not saying, well, let's move on to the next thing. That's simply just making a comment based on the trajectory that we've seen in various things that have happened over the course of the year. So while I understand what you're saying, Calvin, I would say, brother to brother, I think it's a little to the left, a little bit, a little to
But
the
I
left.
think I think this is different though.
I think
like this is our backyard.
But it's always been in our backyard.
Always been our backyard.
Yo,
You
but
know, you know the first
exactly,
instance,
Stefan.
No, the first
we dug
instance
out the
I saw of a
backyard.
police officer killing somebody was in 1995 when the police shot Dudley George and he died of his injuries. It wasn't a black man. I wasn't aware of what's his name in LA. I was aware of Dudley George being killed. Well, not killed, but shot for protesting. 1995, Ipper Wash. We've been talking about this for years, and that's why I go back to the people that will care or that will care later on are the same people that have cared for 15 years, for 20 years, for 30 years, because this isn't just something that came to life today. It didn't come to life last week. It's been around from time. And yeah, we don't learn about it in schools, but people need to start picking up damn books and reading because people are writing books about these things. There's a laziness to these things, man. People don't get up and read.
And
People
that's
don't
why
get up and read.
the curriculum needs
That's cap.
totally to begin with.
nah.
But that's cap, because then that's saying that by introducing these things and by bringing light to these things that no one is now coming on board, because the only people after a certain degree that are going to care are going to be the same people that care before. Then there's no purpose for the news. There's no purpose to bring these stuff to light. Like, are you going to sit here and
always been like
are you going to sit here and tell me that you're not going to do anything after this? Like, all of us that are in this group, I don't care what you've done before. I want to know what you're going to do now and what you're going to do after. And can all of us say that we are going to stop and 2 months from now look at it and allow media to dictate how we operate and how we act? Or are we going to take what we've noticed that is happening in our backyards, that a lot of us pastor churches, a lot of us pastor youth, that our youth, that people that come to our church services are going through? Are we going to say on a podcast where people are watching that 2 months from now, we're not going to do anything?
But that wasn't what we were talking
so the
about.
question-
That's
we're
not what
gonna-
we were talking about.
No. But this is what I'm saying. We're saying
you got
that
next. You got
media's
next,
gonna
Reem.
stop it. And are we going to dictate? This is what I'm asking. Are we dictating the media to allow us to operate in a way that we know we're supposed to act? By saying that, hey, in 2 months from now, it's going to die down, we're actually adding to that, not adding to that fire, we're covering that fire.
No,
Instead of fanning that fire and saying,
Reem has
hey,
next.
you
Reem
can do
has
X,
next,
Y,
ladies and
you can
gentlemen.
do this, you can do that. Like someone in the chat posted, yo, there's positions in Nunavut if you want to help out. Are we going to be a platform that is allowing people to take that next step and invoke change? Or are we going to be that platform that says, this is important, but in 2 months from now, it's not going to be?
Yeah, I'm not going to be long because Steph wants to get on before we close out. I'll try to be as quick as I can.
We're
So-
talking about two different things.
That's what I'm trying to say. I don't understand why we're literally talking about two separate things. Cal, here's my thing. Like, bro, nobody said that us.
Stop taking it
Amendment.
personal. Stop taking it
No,
personal.
I'm not taking
wasn't-
it personal. No.
well, you're making it about us.
But you did make it personal.
You
about
said
the
it,
apathy
so
on
I
the
got
show about us. So
Yeah,
that's-
okay,
apathy.
fair.
That
You
was
didn't-
your-
you didn't
But
shoot at us,
but
so
the
you can't
yeah,
respond
but
back
the
that way.
statement was, nah, I don't think it's gonna happen.
forget
That
it.
wasn't
And
the
I also-
statement,
I'm gonna
Calvin.
keep it
That wasn't
moving.
the statement
I wasn't
made,
the
bro.
statement.
You know
I'm
that.
gonna keep it
Come
moving.
on now.
So all I'm saying now is now going as a different argument, different point to it is in terms of what we're addressing was at large, it's not gonna be much of a change, because if you now look at the people in this chat, like Jonesy already said, most of us already have actually done work for the same people that we're talking about right now.
I don't care what you've done.
No, but why is
we're
that a
gonna
badge?
continue, and we're
And
gonna
we'll continue.
continue.
Yeah,
to do
why
the
is it a
work.
badge? It's
So
not a
what?
badge.
It's not
But
about
no
a
one's
badge.
making
but
it a
let me
badge,
finish.
dude.
Yeah,
nobody's
like,
talking
let him
making it a badge.
finish.
But what I'm saying now
Wow.
is going
What
back to the
is
original
happening?
argument that in terms of change, that's not change. That's consistency. We've already been doing it. Now at large, how much change is actually going to happen? Because the same people, now going to what Steph is saying, the same people have been doing the work from before are the same ones that are going to continue to do the work now, and at large, I don't know how much more people are going to be added. There's going to be more, but it's not going to be to the point of what I think people are hoping for. That's
Okay.
all I'm saying.
Fair.
And I'm not saying that we're not trying to put fuel to like tell people not to and
Right.
forget about it. All I was saying and what we were saying is that the change on a larger scale is not going to happen. It's actually just going to remain consistent and maybe get a little bit better.
And again, that cynicism is what I'm speaking against. I believe that there's a generation that you are leading called Generation Z or Z, however you want to say it, who care very much about these issues that are in front of them, who are coming of age. Whether we're the ones leading the charge or not, they're going to make a difference about it. And I don't think being negative about, well, we've been doing something, but not everyone else has been, and so it's going to be the same. I think that more people are going to be active and involved in this, and that we can have a better... Yeah, I hope so. And I think that we can just be better at it.
Anybody else got anyone
Steph
else
had something to say.
Airing of grievances.
I feel like this is marriage counseling.
Alvin,
This is like marriage counseling, man.
Festivus in June.
Yo, we
Calvin,
all
I
still love each other. For those on...
Yeah, this is the best part about what we do.
Let me first say this before you go, Steph. Let me say this before you go, Steph. Like, for those watching online, we're actually good. You may be looking at us like and worried that we're gonna come out of this and hate each other. We do this every day in our chat,
on everything.
And yeah, on everything.
This is the last.
No, we
season
have
of
different
the House
chats
of
for
Common.
people who
Adam's gonna be announcing at the end of the show that he's leaving to start his own show. In his own
Leave it
network.
to Adam. Leave it to Adam to announce that he's leaving.
On the show, live on air.
I hear the hope in your voice, Calvin. But last year, I sat at the corner of Yonge and Eglinton while people were protesting a pipeline in BC. Anybody remember that?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
my area.
I was upset about that because I sat there for 20 minutes, man. But
Facts.
I went home and I did reading. I learned. But nobody's doing that anymore. And that's 2020. The same generation you're talking about, 2020, last year, 365 days ago. I don't think that
That fishing thing, right? Out out east.
Yeah, the fishing thing too. But
I don't.
Did you just
think,
compare a pipeline to people?
No. What he's saying is there
it
was
had
another.
to do with
there was
the
an.
first, seriously.
See? Do you
Seriously?
prove my point? You see?
No, it was a
There-
question. I'm
there
not.
was a-
No,
I'm allowed to
I
ask
didn't.
a
That's
question,
the
bro.
point. You proved the point, though. That's the point.
We talked about it on the show. We have a tendency, this is our society, we have a tendency to forget about things. And yes, you're right, there are people that might join up the cause, but
Unless it affects us directly, then we remember.
Exactly.
And that's why the Black Lives Matter is going to keep going on, because these people rub shoulders with us. But go on,
That's the
Steph.
point. And when when you look at our society, that we get fatigued quickly because there's just so much going on and everybody feels that they have to be a part of something and we've got to do this. The reality is, like I said, people will either forget, or they'll just move on to the next thing. And when they look back, they look back on the 215, they'll be like, oh yeah, that was a really sad thing that happened. But I didn't really do anything. I went to a couple protests. We moved on because things opened up. And while it's sad to say, it is the truth. Can we do better? Sure. But to be honest with you, something else is going to come along, and it's going to be the topic du jour.
How do you make it better then, Stefan?
What do you mean?
Because you're just the bearer of bad news. So what would you say we could do to make it better?
I don't know. What do you want to do to make it better?
So I just want to ask a question.
That was
like,
a punk thing to do, though. Real talk. Because you knew he wasn't gonna have an answer right there and then. And
That's what I'm saying.
Just to be like, so what do you want to do about it? Like,
no. I wasn't saying like give me a 5-point plan. I'm just saying that that's not going to change. That's not the best. That's not the best answer.
Okay,
I never said
Steph,
things are
hold
going
on,
to
Steph,
change.
Steph, hold on.
You just
Steph.
said it's going to go back. The next thing's going to happen, and we're just going to keep moving on.
Okay, but let me ask you then, Cal. What are you
Look at
going to
Andrew.
do?
Andrew's so mad at us, guys. Look at
I didn't
Andrew.
say that. I didn't say. I didn't say. No. Again, don't flip my words. I said, what can we do differently?
Read.
I didn't say what trip I'm going to organize. I didn't say how I'm going to fundraise. These are things that I'm thinking about. These are things that I'm actively, personally working on. I think it'd be cool if we all did a joint thing. But saying, it's just going to change. It's not going to change. I just want to have a better conversation. I think we could do better than that.
And maybe this,
Hold up.
and maybe this is the first of many conversations that have. Maybe this one where we say it with our chest spurs
Don't
on
you
more
dare.
conversations. Perhaps
Fair.
fair. Bet. We've gone a little bit over time.
No. Shay wants to say something so bad.
I just
better be good.
30 seconds.
It better be
no.
good, bro.
I'm a little bothered by the comment though of saying because it's
Which one?
like basically what the consensus is of if it doesn't directly affect us that we just forget about it. Is it like that bothers me because isn't that the whole point of bringing awareness to something to get people that would not be in our shoes, would not be
Yes.
impacted by that's the whole purpose of it. So to rest that, I don't even want to call it an argument, but to rest that notion of, hey, we're just going to forget about it because it doesn't directly impact us, when in reality, guys, this directly impacts us, whether you believe it or not.
Oh, big facts.
No,
Yeah.
so I don't think anyone's saying that, Shay. I don't think anyone's not.
I think
don't
again we're
anyone's
still
doesn't
having
think
two
that.
different conversations.
No.
We are.
But that was the thing,
Different
is we're
conversations.
forgetting. No. You literally said we're going to forget about it because it doesn't
Not
directly
us, like
impact-
He's
just
saying about
general
society as a whole.
society
Yeah,
as a whole.
Society. How
Society
as a
society
whole.
works.
I'm with
That's
you,
what I'm
O'Shea.
saying.
O'Shea, I'm
It
with
doesn't
you.
affect them
No.
directly.
To
Chris
lead
just ended.
society.
He said
this is what I'm saying.
mainstream. I got you.
Light skin
Directly
ting.
impacts all of society.
Yes.
If you are
Impact on
Canadian,
three.
this impacts you. So we can't use that notion of it doesn't impact us. It does.
Yes,
So-
it does.
And guess what? You have Calvin. This is where I'm gonna call you and Stefan out, and even Reem, asking each other what we're gonna do about something to be snarky.
I didn't ask.
I get it was
I
a
didn't
joke.
ask.
We were just
Not what I
No,
said.
yeah,
really-
I
Not
get
what I
it's
said.
No, but let me finish. I get it's a joke, but that's something where like all of us should actually put our heads together. And I think this is where Calvin was going with this conversation, is instead of saying that, hey man, maybe in like two months that the conversation is going to die down, we put our heads together and say, man, how are we going to push this forward?
That's good. That's good.
You know what though, guys? My only concern is the fact is there are so many things that happen, and how can you always get into something? And trust me, I mean, this is something really good to actually get involved in, but I'm just saying there's so many different things. And I think that you really need to, find out what your passion is. If this is you're really led to do it, like do it, and be great at it. But that's all I'm saying. Like there's so many, I mean, even what happened in London yesterday, there's so many things that they could drive our attention and efforts. And I think we have to be really strategic and really pray exactly what we should really be involved in.
No, that's a word. That's a word. I'll say that. That's a word. And I think it's worth this. Kareem already said it before. Like this is us on a regular. Like there are moments like within chats, like we're talking in all caps because we're yelling at each other, or we're sending voice messages because we're yelling at each other about a variety of things, from things like this to something as simple as just our sports takes. This is just normal conversation. Most cases, those of you who watch this, you see us and we're laughing and joking. Every so often, conversations like this happen because that's what happens among brothers. We disagree. But because we're brothers, we're able to disagree, if that makes any sense. And to Jason's point, there are many things that we can find ourselves connected to be aware of, and then to put our hands to the plow and push towards. And it really is valuable for us to say, like, this is my lane. This is where I feel like I need to be spending all of my time in. And so I appreciate what you just said, Jason, because I think it's poignant. And I'm gonna read this comment lastly. Carousel Tattoo and Barbershop says this: Calvin, your internet speed is slower than the real change happening. I think that's amazing. I think that is. I think
Hold that. I'll hold that.
that is fantastic. Thank you, everybody who sent in, who wrote in comments. We always appreciate the neighbors of the House of Common who send in your comments. Do us a favor, tell more people about the conversations that we're having. We're having the conversations that other people are having on Facebook walls, with like all behind the code of silence. We're having them out loud and inviting you to be a part of it. So tell more people about what we do. Make sure always subscribe to YouTube, subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts, all that sort of stuff, because you know that we are people who mean what we say and say what we mean. Also, before we leave, it is important to know that today is Bart Aniston and his wife Bethany's 14th year wedding anniversary. Congratulations, Bart. Bart, tell us the secrets of marriage right now. I'm kidding. Don't do that. It's just
Hey, Cal.
Have lots of sex.
Tony.
And on that note, friends, this has been the House of Common Show, the flagship show of the House of Common Network. You know the vibes. See you next week, ladies and gentlemen.